What's up, everybody? I'm back. Hey everybody, Dallas again, Chaos Fragrances. I'm back again. Took the week off just because of this whole like Christmas thing and holidays and stuff. Haven't really had too much time to record videos and do other things like that. So with that being said, I hope everyone had a great Christmas, had great holidays. Maybe a lot of you guys got some new fragrances. If you got some new fragrances for Christmas, let me know what you got down below. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, let's just go and jump right into this video. My top 5 favorite parfums, vintage fragrances. So just a side note, I don't own all of them. There are quite a few that I do not own. These are just going to be the ones in my collection that are my personal favorites. Again, there are quite a few out there. Pineapple Vintage Intense, Pineapple Vintage Noir, those that I do not own, so they're not going to be in this list. So before everyone asks me, hey, where is Pineapple Vintage Intense? It's not going to be in this list, so you might just want to skip it if that's what you're looking for. But yeah, let's just go ahead and start this right off. And I do quickly want to mention as well that I do have reviews on all of these ones that I'm going to be mentioning on my channel already. So if any of these really pique your interest, just go and search my channel for the review because I have done one on all of these. So let's go and get started. Number 5, we have King Intense. So King Intense, this is, if you can tell by the name, one of their Aventus inspired fragrances. So I do own the regular King. That one's not going to be in this list, just another disclaimer. Trying to keep it pretty spread out and not too redundant with all the different Aventus ones. So why did I choose King Intense over King? Mainly just because I just like the smell of it better. King Intense has more of a syrupy and rich scent profile. The regular King is a lot more focused on some of the pineapple and the more fruity aspects of Aventus. King Intense, on the other hand, this one is focused more on the woods and some of the other notes that give it a lot more depth. So when I do smell this one, it's more of a syrupy, like almost thick and sweet version of Aventus, and I really like it a lot for that reason. I'm running pretty low on it. This one is the 50 ml bottle here, and again, I think it's fantastic. It's my number 5 because there is one other Aventus one in this list that I do like better. But again, this one is still fantastic stuff. And to be honest, all of their Aventus inspired fragrances are all top notch and they all hit it out of the park. It's just really a matter of what you look for when it comes to Aventus. But for me, this one is fantastic and is my number 5. So number 4, we have Rush of Unicorns. Again, another 50 ml bottle. I'm about down to the end of this one as well. So what is Rush of Unicorns? This is their take on Millésime Imperial, more specifically the older batches of Millésime Imperial. So again, I've already done a review and comparison video on Rush of Unicorns on my channel. Definitely go looking for that if you're interested. But this stuff, again, another absolutely fantastic stuff. Just when I just smelled it right there, took me right back to summer when I did this review. It's just such a summery and fresh scent. So I was lucky enough at one point to own a vintage batch of Millésime Imperial. It was one from 2008. I actually ended up selling that bottle, unfortunately. So now I just have my current, 2016 batches. But part of the reason I sold it was because of this one right here, this Rush of Unicorns. This stuff is so solid that I really didn't find a need of keeping my vintage batch of Millésime Imperial. They were that close. Again, I'm not going to go into too much depth and too much detail on, the differences and things like that between vintage and modern. But what I can tell you is that this stuff, when I was comparing it to my vintage bottle of Millésime Imperial, it was pretty much spot on, and this actually performed better than my bottle of Millésime Imperial did, so it was really a win-win situation. Again, I'm not going to get into the differences in this video. I'm trying to keep it relatively quick, but just know I wouldn't be including this and I wouldn't be hyping this up if it weren't true. Again, I do keep these reviews unbiased. Just because I get sent bottles doesn't mean I'm going to lie to you and tell you what smells like what. Again, I'm keeping it honest because in a lot of cases, not everyone may be able to get their nose on, older batches of Millésime Imperial or older batches of Aventus. But when I'm able to do that, I'm going to keep it honest and compare it honestly. And again, that's what I did here. So definitely go check out that review if you're interested. But this is my number 4. Again, it's fantastic stuff. It was hard for me to put it this low. I could have put it higher. It's just kind of a matter of what I wear the most and just what I like overall. And while I do love the scent, this DNA at times can get a little bit played out for me. It can get a little bit boring compared to some of the others, like my top 3 coming up. These are 3 that I could never really get tired of. So it's not anything against this fragrance. It's just the fact that I do start to get a little bit tired of it after a while. All right, number 3, this is actually one of their newer releases. This one is Sunset in Heaven. So as you can see here, I got the 100 ml this time. This stuff, their take on Baccarat Rouge 540. Again, I've done a video on that already. You can go check it out there. I'm not going to get into too many of the details on how close it smells, although just to sum it up, it does smell very close. Again, just keeping it short and simple here. It's their take on Baccarat Rouge 540 from Mason Francis Kurkdjian, which is one of my favorite fragrances, at least on the niche side. I own a couple different bottle sizes of that. I really enjoy that stuff a whole lot. And when I found out Parfums Vintage was working on their take on Baccarat Rouge 540, I was extremely thrilled. So again, this does not disappoint. Does everything it needs to do correctly. It performs just as good as Baccarat Rouge 540. It smells almost identical to it. There are a few different nuances. This one I found is a little bit more latex glovey smelling. If you haven't smelled Baccarat Rouge 540, you're probably going to be not know what I'm talking about, and you're probably going to be like, ew, latex gloves with the, what's going on. But for those of you who have smelled it, you'll kind of have, a general idea of what I'm talking about. It does have a little bit of that type of smell, and I found in this Parfums Vintage version that is a little bit more prominent, but it's not really a deal breaker for me at all. I actually don't mind that, and this definitely does everything right, more so than it would do anything wrong. Again, great performance, just a fantastic scent, and a good compliment getter too, just like all of these. So that's my number 3, Sunset in Heaven. And my number 2, we got another new-ish release. It's been out for, I want to say a couple months now. Again, you can go back and look at my review to see pretty much when it came out. Ooh, I almost dropped that. This one is Evolution de l'Homme Soir. So this one is their take on Roja Parfums Elysium, targeting more the Parfum Cologne in the blue bottle. I do own both the Parfum Cologne and the Extrait. But this stuff is absolutely fantastic. They released a version called Matin as well, or Matin. I had a sample of that one, ended up giving it away. I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as Soir. So again, I did a whole video on this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on the differences. But if you're looking for the version that smells the closest to Elysium does, you're going to want to go with the Soir version right here. Matin basically takes out the vetiver note and puts in patchouli instead, so it's a little bit more warm, a little bit more spicy. Again, I really enjoyed the scent, but when I had to pick which one I liked better, I do like Soir better just because it's closer to Elysium, and Elysium again is another one of my favorite scents of all time. Again, that's why this list is so subjective. Again, that's why this list is so subjective, is because these are my personal favorites. Some of these you may hate, and it's not necessarily, the fragrance house's fault. It's just maybe because you don't like the scent that they're trying to replicate. So for me, these are just my favorites. Again, they absolutely killed it with this release. They got Elysium down to a T. With this one though, I would say it's a little bit more citrusy, a little bit more bright in the opening. And then also this one performs better than my Elysium does, the Parfum Cologne, which is pretty crazy. I've been wearing this one more than Elysium lately just because, again, it performs great. Compliments are great, everything like that. Doesn't perform better than the Extrait version, but again, that's not really what they're after here, but it does do better than the Parfum Cologne. So again, that's another great thing there. So again, my number 2, Evolution de l'Homme Soir. All right, finally we're to my number 1. What could this one be? This one is Vanilla Intense. So like I've been saying this whole time, I already did a video on this. If you want to know more information on, how this smells and what it's like and everything like that, definitely go check out that video. But this one is my number 1, and I liked it so much that pretty much right when I sprayed it and I smelled it, I ended up sending Damien a message, who is the perfumer and the owner of Parfums Vintage. I sent him a message telling him how much I loved it. And yeah, it's just absolutely great stuff. So the name and the label and everything should give you a pretty good idea of what this is. This is basically Aventus with an amped up vanilla note. So there are certain batches of Aventus out there with more prominent vanilla than others, and it's kind of one of those things where if you haven't really smelled it, you don't know how good it is until you have. And this is one of those cases where I've never really smelled any vanilla heavy batches of Aventus before, just because they go for like $700 pretty much nowadays, just pretty ridiculous. It's pretty sad. That is what it is. So the vanilla for me is very prominent from the opening pretty much to the dry down. Again, just overall fantastic stuff. Performance, very, very good. This performs better than King on my skin, just the regular Parfums Vintage King, because I did a review on both of those around the same time. And Vanilla Intense always has performed better on me, probably just because, again, the vanilla and some of the other heavier notes makes it last longer. But this is, again, fantastic stuff. Performs great, gets great compliments. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Those are my 5 favorite fragrances from Parfums Vintage. Again, I don't own all of them. Maybe if I get more at some point and, you know, things start to change, then maybe I can do a different video similar to this, but I'm just kind of working with what I have, because I have had a few people request me do like a top 10 favorite Parfums Vintage, which again, I don't own 10 of them, so I'm just doing it on the ones that I do own, with a couple excluded ones that are still on the shelf, didn't quite make it, but again, they're all fantastic. Highly recommend you check out Parfums Vintage. No, they're not paying me to say this or anything like that. I do get these bottles sent to me to review, but again, I'm not going to bullshit you guys. They want honest reviews, and that's what I give them. So that's it for me, guys. Let me know what your favorite ones from Parfums Vintage is down below, and I think that's going to do it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. Also don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss when I post. And that's it for me. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.